So with that said, what I'd like to transition to for a second, and some of you have attended a couple of webinars on joining community forces. And I'd like to give a little bit of history here so you know where we came from and where we're going. But joining community forces, we looked at statistics. You guys, again, network and do partner capacity building each and every day. You get a phone call from a service member or a family member needing help, and you respond with that help. And so how do we formalize both our relationships? For those of you in the room, I attended a SAMHSA, substance abuse, mental health, what's the rest of it? There you go. Services Administration. They hold what's called a policy academy. Some of you may have participated in their policy academies. There was one several months ago. There was, I believe, 9 states in attendance. And what was interesting is how new some of the programs were, and how progressive and mature some of the programs were. So in some cases, in some cities, in your capital cities where most of your Joint Force headquarters are, in at least 3 state cases, it was the first time they had ever met each other. Okay? First time they'd ever met each other. Another similar group, or another similar structure, if you will, is the Military Child Education Coalition. Fabulous group. Right? They hold public engagements. It's another construct, if you will, for them to meet with all those organizations that deal with military children in order to support the needs of families, service members, and their children. So one of the things that I would be interested in getting your feedback this week is, how do we structure something like that to help facilitate joining community forces at the local level and within your states and territories? So give that some thought. Okay? A little more history here. So PSD 9, it was a presidential decision, 9, that basically, can we go to the next slide? Actually, go back one, I'm sorry. Strengthening our military families. It was signed by every cabinet member, and there was probably 47 requirements or tasks provided to each of the cabinet members on what they were going to do on behalf of military families. Okay, so next slide. Again, it aims to mobilize all sectors of society to give service members and their families the opportunity and support that they certainly have earned. And the 3 focuses of that document on employment, education, and wellness. What happened after Presidential Decision number 9 was signed is the Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff, at that time Admiral Mullen, created process teams, improvement process teams, IPTs, to get everybody together, service representatives, and at that time my predecessor, Major General Ross, represented the National Guard J1, or the National Guard Bureau. Okay? And what he was put in charge of was that communication strategy. How do we communicate what's going on out there so that service members and families know what's available? Okay, so this is just actually, I don't know how much of this was communicated previously, but this is actually the outreach or the initiative of joining community forces that's been taking place probably now over the last 2 years, and is suddenly coming to a head, if you will, of being an actual, I hate to use the word program, because there are 54 programs and they're your programs. It's not the J1. It's not my program, they're your programs. So more to follow on that. Next slide. So again, a little bit of history. It started with how many, I'm assuming everybody in here has heard of ISFAC, or the Inter-Service Family Assistance Committee. And so all we're really doing, You know, in each state it's a little bit different. Either you have a Joint Force Headquarters lead or you have a governor lead, and it is to, again, partner capacity on behalf of service members and families. But what we're advocating to do is just to change the name of ISFAC to Joining Community Forces, an extension of Mrs. Obama and Dr. Biden's initiative of joining forces. And again, it's our ability as a big team to communicate all of the great work that you all do each and every day. This PSA, once we get it to work here, is the adjutants generals from North Dakota, Massachusetts, and Arizona on what they have done thus far in building partner capacity.
Across the United States, local communities are coming together to support our military family. Community forces help keep our nation strong, but there's more to it than that.
A community force is really a partnership. So whether we're talking about teachers, counselors, faith-based community members, or first responders, or any other individuals or organizations in our community, everyone has a role in caring for our service members, veterans, and their families.
We have brought together the people that care about the military and its families.
Every community's needs are different, which is why support starts in your neighborhood.
In Arizona, we have a specific set of guidelines for care for all individuals and organizations interacting with service members, veterans, and their families.
In North Dakota, many different organizations participate in our community force.
I think it's vitally important that if you're going to have an effective community force, it has to be at the local level.
Be a force in your community. Joining community forces can help you give back to service members, veterans, and their families in your neighborhood.
I think that this will lead the discussion, at least I hope that it will, this week, in addition to the training that's taken place. Again, as I also mentioned, taking that strategic pause, identifying those 2 or 3 key things in which each program needs to focus on, and to make sure that we're really, truly measuring what we need to measure, the outcomes that we need to measure. You know, in the area of employment, for example, I'll be frank, I don't really want to know how many people you reached out to. I don't want to know how many phone calls you made. I want to know how many people got jobs today, right? And so that's the type of accountability that I'm talking about for each of the groups that are in the room. Okay, actual outcome based. And so with that, if we can go to the next slide. We have created a landing page. Again, joining community forces from a National Guard Bureau perspective is not a program. I am not developing a new program. All we are trying to do is to communicate your programs and to provide that landing page that links to the 54 state territories in the District of Columbia, your joining community forces solution.
When it comes to supporting our military community, communication is key. Introducing joiningcommunityforces.org, where accessing information and connecting directly with community forces couldn't be easier. The site automatically defaults to your state so that you can easily link to local support networks. From the home page, with one click, you can become a community forces partner or instantly connect with your state's community force. Want to get involved? Start at the About Community Forces page to learn more about what a community force is. Here, you can access several resources to guide you in the creation and maintenance of an effective community force. From templates to communication plans to research papers, These downloadable tools are easy to access with just a click. Then, head to the Become a Partner page, where you can build a better community force through our training materials. Donate your time, talent, service, and products to your local community force through the Connect with Your State Community Force link. Network with other states to share ideas and best practices on how to build an effective community force. And access tools to help you start a community force, including a contact widget that connects you to the Joining Community Forces National Coordinator. Through the National Efforts page, you can link to national partners, associates, and advocates. And keep up to date with the latest news on the Browse News page, featuring links to relevant news articles on the Community Forces Initiative. If you're looking for more information, the Joint Services Support Portal is just a click away from every page on the site. Together, we can support our nation one community at a time. Take action and visit www.joiningcommunityforces.org today.
Next slide. I know we're running close on time, and I would like to provide an opportunity for anybody to ask a question. But these are the next steps, right? Connect with the service member and family support director. Some of you may ask, well, who is that, right? One of the challenges that I've had, there was a table of distribution allowance, which is a TDA update that was provided to the states on 1 December. It went out to all the chiefs of staff. It was briefed at the Domestic Operations Conference, and a lot of discussion on clearing up the lines of communication between the J1, the A1, and the G1, both at National Guard Bureau and then within the state. And so this service member and family support director could be in your state, the SFPD, the J1, the J9, the whatever you're calling it. And that was the hard part. I didn't know how to refer to the position. And so within the TDA, that's how this grand poobah, for lack of a better word, right? Somebody who's over all this conglomeration of well-being, employment, education type programs, that's who that is. So if that's you and you have a breakout after this morning's session's over, that's where you're supposed to be. But the idea here is to explore local partnerships with community forces, to be able to take advantage of joiningcommunityforces.org this week and have those discussions on how to display the information within your own website so that it's user-friendly, etc. And then if you attended the the webinar twice already on VISTAs, which is from the Corporation of National Community Service, more to follow on that with the service member and family support directors today, more discussion on what that means to you. There's actually been several states in here that have taken advantage of resources from the Corporation of National Community Service in the form of either VISTAs, who are responsible for capacity building, or AmeriCorps volunteers who literally provide services to service members and families. And again, more discussion on that this week. Next slide. So, engage and participate, right? Make connections while you're here. Share knowledge and information, best practices. Certainly have fun. I guess everybody's coffee and water has reached its limit. And so with that, if we can go to the final slide. Thanks for being here this week. I salute you and what you do for service members and families each and every day. Now let's get her done.